I don't think we could have any more appropriate weather conditions for our test of this new Swedish electric vehicle. This is the Polestar 2, and following on from the limited run and gorgeous Polestar 1, this is the follow-up, and this is the big deal. This is the one a lot of people are going to be interested in because it is a real rival for the Tesla Model 3. So what do you get with this car? Well, it is built on the same core architecture as the Volvo XC40, and it has quite a distinctive fastback shape to it. There is a little bit of a crossover element to it as well, and that's what sets it apart, because it is sitting a little bit higher off the ground. It's a little bit raised, and you have this black cladding that runs along the base of the car and around the wheel arches, and that adds to that slightly raised look of the car. There's also kind of an elevated driving position, which a lot of people are probably going to like. Now, under the skin, what have you got? Well, it just comes effectively in one specification. It has a 78 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery. That, according to Polestar, is good for up to 470 kilometers per charge. That's in WLTP conditions, and you have all-wheel drive. So each axle has a 150 kilowatt electric motor on it. That gives you total power output of 408 horsepower and 660 newton meters of torque. That's good for acceleration from 0 to 100 in 4.7 seconds and a top speed in excess of 200 kilometers an hour wherever you may be able to do that. It's also capable of fast charging at up to 150 kilowatts. Now, there are obviously some links to Volvo, and Polestar does share some parts in it, but it actually does a very good job of making this still look like quite a unique design. Now, it does have these really gorgeous headlight designs here, but there's a lot of taut surface lines, there's a lot of sharp lines throughout the car that really make this stand out and give it quite a bit of presence, and especially with this quite distinctive grille. Yes, it is slightly like a Volvo, but it actually still stands out very much on its own, and you have that unique double chevron Polestar logo on the nose as well. As standard, it comes with 19-inch wheels, but you can upgrade those to larger 20-inch wheels, although they will slightly impact the total driving range of the car. There's a lot of cool little features on it as well, like they put this little Polestar 2 sticker on the side, and it shows you that it's a battery electric vehicle, tells you how much power and how big the battery is. But there's a lot of other neat features, like these door mirrors, for example. They have quite a unique frameless design to them, and you've got these big, solid, chunky door handles too, and when you open and close the door, it's got a real quality feel to it. Then around the back, you have this quite nice graphic that comes round, and that shapes the glass house of the car and brings you into the back here. These rear lights are so distinctive, and it's one of the real features that stand out with the Polestar 2. Now, you do have a electrically operated tailgate in the back. When that lifts up, as you can see, you get great access into the boot. There's a total of 440 litres, but that is based on 405 litres of space here in the back and a further 35 litres of storage in the front. You can also drop down these rear seats. They have a 60-40 rear split, makes it much easier to get longer items in there as well. There's also quite a neat pop-up feature here in the floor, so it stops everything from rattling around in the back. Like the exterior, the interior of the Polestar 2 is, well, a little bit different, although it is also quite familiar if you've been in any of the latest current generation of Volvo cars. That's no bad thing. The steering wheel, for example, is coming straight from a Volvo, although it does have a Polestar logo on the front, but it's very nice, very easy to use. It's a good size. It's perfectly round. There's also a good amount of adjustability, both fore and aft, so and up and down. So that's good. It's quite easy to find a comfortable driving position depending on your size. So that's good. The digital instrument display in front of you is very nicely laid out. It's very easy to read. It's not too bright, so even at night it doesn't glare at you, so that's good as well. Probably the surprising thing, given that this is a fully electric vehicle, is that it does have quite a big center console here. So you do have what effectively would be a transmission tunnel in a regular internal combustion car, but here it is used to house the drive selector, so you have a very elegant, very nice looking lever here, which does actually, it is hollow. It's unusual, it's different, it's remarkably easy to use as well in terms of actually how your hand rests on it. Ergonomically, it works very, very well. And then you have just a discrete park button that sits flush with the panel. You have volume control here for the stereo, and easy basic three touch sensitive buttons for your front and rear window heating, and also your hazard lights. Now, ahead of that, then you have a really nice tablet style touchscreen display. It is, to be honest, very nice and very easy to use. It's very quick to react, has a really high refresh rate. So, as you scan through the different menu functions, and also the actual infotainment system that Polestar uses, although there are some similarities to what you'll find in a Volvo, it is much nicer to use, very easy, very intuitive, and it also runs on Google OS. So you have Google Maps built in, Google Assistant, all those kind of features are very, very useful. It's what you're going to want to have in a car like this. So connectivity is going to be a big thing. You also have 2 USB-C ports sitting here, and a wireless charging pad that's nicely angled, so your phone just slides in and sits there, and you can wirelessly charge it. So that's quite good. They also do have a cup holder. There's a second cup holder here underneath this armrest, and that armrest can also slide forward as well, although you do kind of cover that over. And then on either side of the transmission tunnel here, you have small recesses for putting in, just smaller oddments. The door bins are also quite good, but it's really the materials that are used throughout this that really do stand up. Yes, there are various, it's a mix of plastics, some wood-like material. You've got piano gloss black here, and then this kind of unusual fabric, almost like, I wouldn't say denim, but a really nice aesthetic, and it just breaks it up, having all these different textures throughout the cabin. It is a sleek car, if I'm honest. There's not a lot I don't like about it. You do get used to having this. It will be interesting to see what they could do without having something like this here. Bear in mind, this car is going up against the Tesla Model 3, which obviously has a very minimalist design. But that said, there's a lot of nice features to it. It has quite a large glove box as well, which again, it's one of the practical features that probably not a lot of people kind of consider, but it's nice just to have plenty of space to put your various bits and pieces. The driving position itself, you do sit a little bit higher. It's quite good. These frameless door mirrors on the sides do give quite a good view, actually, considering they're not the biggest mirrors in the world. The rear view mirror isn't great, if I'm honest, because of how that roof slopes down and how it's shaped, combined with the fact that you've got 2 headrests sitting up there as well. If you're going to have people in the back, you're not going to have a great deal of space. But when you do engage reverse, for example, when you're parking, it's very good in terms of the amount of visibility you get. You have this overview camera system, which you can look at it from top down, or you can obviously just choose the camera that you wish. So that's, again, one of the nice features of this car. The interior, I think the quality, it feels very, very good. Way up there with the likes of what you're going to find in a BMW or a Mercedes. Really high quality materials. It all feels really well put together as well. There isn't all the switch gear that you have. It all has a solid feel to it. When you pull the door closed, for example, it closes with a reassuring thud, and that's the nice thing. That's one of the things that really stands out about the cabin and the layout of this car. You do also have, for example, a heated steering wheel. Great in winter to have that, and you've got heated seats as well, and the seats themselves, these driver seats, they are very, very comfortable, very supportive, I find. The rear seats are a lot firmer. These are definitely much more comfortable, and obviously they're electrically adjustable, so you have a whole scope of ways that you can adjust that as well to find it exactly how you want it. When it comes to rear passenger space, the Polestar actually does a fairly good job. I am about 5'9", and as you can see, thanks to this glass roof, I've got quite a good amount of headroom here, and I've got very good amounts of knee room. This driver's seat is set up for my driving position, so I have plenty of space here, and I can also get my feet underneath the seat in front. Now, the seats themselves, they are a little on the firm side, if I'm honest, but they do have quite a good bit of support. Even when I'm sitting quite upright, just about feel the top of my head maybe starting to brush the roof. Having this glass panoramic roof also helps flood light into the cabin as well, and gives me something else to look at when I'm sitting back here. The rear windows, well, they're not huge, but the window frame itself is quite low, so even younger kids sitting in the back should still be able to see out relatively okay. Now, this is really a 4-seat car rather than a 5-seat car, unless you have somebody very small or somebody that doesn't mind being a little bit cramped in the middle here. That's mainly due to the fact that you do have this quite large tunnel running through the car, as I mentioned, what you can see up in the front. That also extends back here. It's not too bad. You can have your feet either side of it, but you do also have a more narrow middle seat as well. So it's best to really view this as a car for 4 adults. 5 is really going to be just at a push. Now, if you're not going to use that space, you can obviously pull down this armrest, adds a little bit more comfort, and you've got 2 generously sized cup holders here as well. Can you hear that? That is possibly the most distinctive indicator sound I've heard in a car for quite a while. It's a real hard edge to it, real modern kind of feel to it. And that's really the essence of this Polestar 2. It feels very, very modern. It's not in your face though. And that's true also of the performance. Yes, it's over 400 horsepower in this thing, but you've got to go looking for it. And this is driving along in very normal sedate conditions, and it's absolutely fine. It's very easy to drive. You don't feel like you're driving a massively powerful car unless you do actually prod the accelerator pedal and go for it. When you do that, well, it surges forward with all the urgency you would expect a car with 660 Newton meters of torque at your disposal, and that's electrically, so it's pretty much instantaneous. And thankfully, there is also all-wheel drive, so that means that as you do, even in wet conditions like today, stability is absolutely fine, no issues. You actually can't even hear the wheels, even from slow speed under heavy acceleration. It takes quite a lot for them to even give the sensation that they're going to slip or spin, so that's quite positive. But really, having that extra performance, most people are probably never going to use it. A lot of people will prefer having that extended range that this 78 kilowatt hour battery offers, and yeah, that's actually a big part of it as well. Just being able to do longer distances without having to constantly be plugging in. But for example, when you're joining a motorway or faster traffic, it's very, very quick when you give it a prod. It gets up to speed, no issues at all. The Polestar is not lacking in that respect. It's worth noting as well that there is effectively a 1-pedal drive operation. If you so wish, you can actually choose one of 3 settings from the driver infotainment system. So you can have it off, whereby as you accelerate along, when you lift off, it will just freewheel and coast until the wind pressure starts to slow it down. You can have it on low, and that's fine, but if you want to have a true 1-pedal driving experience, you do just keep it on the standard button, and with that standard function, it's absolutely fine. You can also turn off the creep function as well, so if you prefer just to have the car not creep, for example, if you're sitting at a traffic light, you can have that, or alternatively, you can have it on. Now, what's the Polestar like to drive and how does it ride? Well, it is a little on the firm side, if I'm honest. This is the standard car, so it doesn't have the optional Öhlins dampers that are available on the performance pack If I'm honest, I think this car is probably better for it. It just gives it a little bit of a softer ride. Yes, you can adjust the Olens, but it's actually quite a finicky job to do. And if I'm honest, most people are probably never going to do that. It actually comes from the factory with a kind of set at 8 out of 22, but you can obviously adjust that if you want. But this standard suspension setting, I actually think it's quite nice. It isn't as comfortable as what you'll find on the Tesla Model 3. I do think that has the edge in terms of comfort on it, but dynamically speaking, I think this car handles really, really nicely. It loads up predictably in the bends. You do feel like that weight obviously is very low down in the car. It doesn't affect handling. It does deal very well with bumps. Even this car is riding on 20-inch wheels, and other than I suppose slightly above what I would have expected road noise levels, there's actually no issues in terms of how it deals with bumps. It rounds everything off very nicely. It's very well damped, so when you go over a bump, how it absorbs that and how it deals with it is very, very good. And the steering as well has a nice feel to it. Again, there are 3 settings with the steering, so you can have it in a light, which is what I've been driving it in mostly. You can have it in standard, and you can have it in a firm setting. Now, if I'm honest, the firm setting just adds a little bit kind of a false sense of weight to it. Although there's not a great deal of difference between the 3 altogether. The light steering is definitely the one to use if you're going to be spending time in traffic, for example, at low city speeds where you're probably going to be doing greater maneuvers, more 90-degree lefts and rights, things like that. One of the other pluses of Polestar being able to delve into Volvo's technical experience is that it's also equipped with the pilot assist system. Now, as ever, this is not a self-driving system. You still have to do everything, but what it does is keeps a very close eye on the road and will ensure that the car remains in its lane. If it thinks that you're going to drift out of your lane, it will be quite firm in how it adjusts the steering back into your lane. And obviously you've got a whole host of other safety features too. There's also adaptive cruise control as well, so again, if you set your desired speed, the car will then monitor a safe distance in front and will maintain that as well. So it is quite a good safety system. It's one of the better driver assistance systems in my opinion, having tried all the various different ones that are out there. It is one of the smartest ones, and is one that I find is less prone to making errors in judgment, shall I say. I've driven some other cars like Volkswagens that have incorrectly detected speed limit changes and then applied the brakes and things like that. I find that this system, the pilot assist, works very well. It's certainly one of my favorite systems to use, and over longer journeys and on motorways, it's very, very good. So there you go, that's our review of the Polestar 2. Quite an impressive bit of kit, definitely an alternative to the Tesla Model 3, and a very serious contender overall in the EV premium segment. If you want to know more about this car, head over to CompleteCar.ie. You can also find out a little bit more about this from our partners DCEV. Check out their website, it's linked in the description below. As ever, if you've watched it this far, please do give it a thumbs up. We hope you've enjoyed it. We'd love to know what you think about the car, so do get involved in the comments below and tell us what you think. And as ever, if you haven't yet, do hit the subscribe button. And if you do that, hit the notification bell. Next time we upload one of our videos, you'll be alerted to that too. In the meantime, it's just left for me to say thanks for watching, and I'm now going to get back into that heated seat and get out of this weather. See you soon.